This is KUGAN CASSIUS Rifle Team in association with Macklin's Gym Marlborough. We did an hour and 16 minutes earlier.
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling it. I mean, I sort of got mugged off in that interview by you.
Why?
We weren't, because you just sort of, I kind of felt like there wasn't a camera rolling, and I just felt like it might have been a bit boring.
Mugged off? That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Set up.
No. It was a road trip. It killed an hour and 15 minutes of a 4-hour journey, so
Okay.
who wins?
Okay.
Right, where do we start? Let's start with Josh.
Sweating hot.
Been a long night.
Long night. It's 10 past 1, and we've got things to do. Overruns in the arena, extra costs.
15 fights on. What are you thinking?
I know. I don't know.
Good win for Warrington. Against,
Yeah, good win.
Highland.
Yeah, very good win. Yeah.
You said that if he was to beat Highland, the fight's there if Selby wants it.
Yeah.
Still the same?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've been to the well many times in Leeds. I think this was the 6th time we've been to Leeds Arena now. Every time the fans have been sensational. I mean, it was a massive card tonight. But I feel like the next fight in Leeds has to be for a world title. Because it's time. You know, unless we fight on the road next, I think we have to fight for a world title next, because boxing is about timing and taking your chances. And if that Lee Selby fight is there for November, Josh Warrington, in my opinion, has to take it. You know, I think the focus with everything going on, his dad and Steve Wood and the training team felt like he wouldn't be 100% focused on that fight at that time when it was put to him. And Josh Warrington jumped all over the fight, but he don't make the decisions. And we haven't built 6 fights here to jump into a fight at the wrong time. Maybe he missed his chance for the Lee Selby fight. I hope he didn't, and I hope Lee Selby takes the fight against him in November. You know, he'll be being promised the Santa Cruz Frampton winner, but they're not going to fight till December. And you know, Lee's boxed twice in 15 months since he beats Gradovic with no injuries. He's wanted to box 5 times in 15 months. Cheers, mate. But he hasn't been given the fights. So he can work off promises, or he can work off a signed contract to fight Warrington that will deliver for November.
So, what's the next best option availability-wise, or?
Well, it's a horrible division, isn't it? I mean, you've got Gary Russell. I mean, Josh is number 1 in the WBC. You've got Gary Russell, who is the best fighter in the division, in my opinion. You've got Santa Cruz fighting Frampton tonight. Listen, if Frampton wins, there could be a fight with Josh Warrington. You've got Coelho, who's a regular champion, who's a great fighter. You've got Oscar Valdez, who just won the WBO, who you might have been looking at as a weak spot, goes and looked sensational last week against Rueda. So I think going off recent performances and the fact that he's British and in terms of how easy the fight could be made, I think Lee Selby should be the target. But Lee Selby is also a brilliant fighter. So it's very, very difficult to win a world title, but so it should be. But the good thing is if you get it here in Leeds, that gives you a little edge. And I wouldn't count Josh Warrington out in that fight at all.
White Allen.
Disappointing.
Unanimous decision.
Yeah, disappointing.
Victory for Dillian Whyte.
I felt Dillian looked really flat tonight, you know? Slow, tired. And I think he might have overtrained. You know, he came back from the injury, the shoulder injury. He's been training probably since April. And he had the fight on June the 25th, went straight back into camp for this one. That was only 5 weeks ago. And I just feel that he looked flat tonight. Dave Allen was, you know, strong, durable, but I didn't really think he did enough either. It was kind of frustrating. Although Dillian's with us, I kind of wanted to shout at Dave Allen and say, work, when you got him up against the ropes. And I was saying to Dillian, don't tip-a-tapper. I mean, he come out first round, southpaw. And I'm thinking, what? I don't understand that. Why do you want to box at 25% of your ability by switching to southpaw? I don't know. It was a bit weird. I mean, it was reasonably entertaining. The last few rounds were quite fun, but I was disappointed with the fight, to be honest with you. And I think Dillian will be disappointed with his performance. And I think when Dave Allen looks back, he'll think he could have done more. But I tell you what, Dave Allen took some big shots, and he is durable. But you know, he shouldn't. You know, if you come out at the start of the round, you're saying like this, come on. You've got to actually throw the shots. you know. But he's inexperienced, and he'll gain a lot from that. And he took the fight, and he did himself no harm at all.
2 questions just to finish off on that. Will Dillian Whyte fight Sam Sexton at some point?
I would guess so for the British. I mean, I've got to talk to. I want to make the Dillian Whyte Chisora fight. I think it's the fight to make. But again, I think he needs a few weeks off. I do. I think he's come back from injuries. He's probably trained for 17 weeks. He's had 2 fights, and he just didn't look fresh tonight. He had a lot more snap in the June 25th June 25th card. He just looked much sharper with his punches, and tonight was just tip tap, and then he might sink one in, but there was no speed, there was no, spite, and yeah.
Would you look to do anything with Dave Allen again?
Yeah, I think he's entertaining. I think he can fight, but he's a novice, isn't he? He's had 10 fights, 11 fights, and I just don't feel like he had a game plan. He got up close, and then was the time to work Dillian Whyte. But he shipped a few shots as well, and he was tired himself. So listen, it's easy for me to be critical, isn't it? But I'm just saying how I felt watching the fight.
Good win for Luke Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, Mendes was very tricky, and I feel like he didn't come with as much ambition as I hoped. He knocked Campbell down with a beautiful counter right hand in the second round. Yeah, and Luke had to box smart. And on paper, he has a unanimous victory over a world-class fighter. So, good. I mean, not sensational, but good. Coming back from the Mendy defeat, obviously working with Jorge Rubio as well. But still some improvements to be made if he wants to go on and win a world title.
Kyle left heartbroken with that. How did you score it?
I actually had Coyle winning the fight, which, judging by the Twitter reaction to my tweet saying so, not many people agreed with me. But I just feel like the knockdown was big. I feel like he was the one forcing the fight. He was the aggressor. And I didn't feel like Tyrone Nurse's punches were really doing a great deal. But maybe he was doing the neater work. I mean, 116, 112, I just can't see that. I scored it, I think, 1 or 2 rounds to Tommy Coyle. So if you give it a draw or 1 round the other way, but 116, 112, I can't see how you can score the fight that way. But some people did. Like after the fight, I got in the ring, I went over to Sky and I think it was Ed Robinson, who knows the game inside out, said, how'd you have it? And he went, Tyrone Nurse. And I went, really? Then I went to Andy Scott, how'd you have it? He went, Tyrone Nurse. I went to Glenn McCrory, how'd you have it? He went, Tyrone Nurse. I was like, oh. And then I asked Dave Caldwell and me had it to Tommy Coyle. I think we were the only ones. But I'm gutted for him because, that would have been a real special moment for Tommy Coyle. And he gives probably pound for pound the most value in his fights. Don't know what I'm trying to say to British fight fans. And he really does wear his heart on his sleeve. And he's such a nice bloke. He's a great fella. He's a great dad. And part of me, although we work with Tyrone Nurse, part of me, in the 11th and 12th round was thinking, wow, if he does this, it's going to be a night he'll never forget. And it would have been a great story, but it wasn't to be. But I thought he boxed well. I thought it was a great performance from Tommy Coyle. And Tyrone Nurse is proving to be, a real challenger at 140 pounds.
Quick word on Ryan Burnett.
I thought Ryan was a bit disappointed. I mean, he's been out for 5 months. The problem is with me is I'm probably looking at it from an entertainment perspective. So, I'll give you an example. During the fight with Josh Warrington, after about 4 or 5 rounds, I'm now saying to Josh, right, step on him and get him out of there. And sort of Nick Manners is looking over me going, be quiet you, listen to the corner, Josh. But I know that the people at home and the people in the stands they've seen 5 or 6 rounds, now they want to see the stoppage. With Ryan Burnett, I felt exactly the same thing. Get on top of this kid and bash him up. And I felt like that against Booth, and I felt like that against Settle. But technically he's excellent, but, I don't think he'll be delighted with the performance. It was a solid performance against a tricky, awkward guy who, when you bring these guys over, you struggle to get tape on, So Yeah, it was a solid performance, but I'm looking for him to be spectacular. And I think really we need to get him a fight that he can get his teeth into. Because, you know, he's boxed Booth, okay, Settle, yeah, and now Ramirez. But what about Paul Butler? Well, the board have ordered that for the British title. I don't think that'll happen. But what about Ryan Farag? And we'll do that in Liverpool. You know, something that he can really get his teeth into. Because I have so much confidence and belief in Ryan Burnett as a fighter. But in the 3 performances so far, we've seen glimpses, but we haven't seen what I know is coming. And I think to bring that out of him, we need a fight like that. Because, you know, what I said to Adam Booth, really, before tonight, he wants 3 fights before we challenge for a world title. So that's the first one. Now we've got to step it up. You know, Butler would be ideal, but if not, Farag or even Guerfi, who beat Farag for the European title. You know, these kind of level fights is what he needs to progress to that next level. But I know there's so much more to come from him. But, you know, it's all about development.
Spark O'Sullivan wants to fight Anthony Ogogo.
Nothing to do with me, don't represent either fighter. I'd love to see it though.
There's nothing you can do with that?
I'll put the fight on, but I mean, I think Anthony is, you know, you've seen the level that Anthony's been boxing at. He's had a rough time, Anthony Ogogo, and I think, you know, he's had, 2 or 3 quite easy wins. But at the same time, he's looked good doing it, and I think his confidence is rising, his health and fitness is rising, and I think he'll be ready for those kind of fights, but I don't have anything to do with him. So you're asking the wrong geezer. But I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
There's loads of fights I'd love to see. I'd like to see David Price against Tony Thompson 3. No one agrees with me.
I was obviously privy to some of your conversations earlier on in the car.
Yeah.
Can you give us any sort of update on Anthony Joshua's next opponent or not?
You were actually on a speakerphone call with one of his potential next opponent. I can't believe it. I had the conversation with you just sitting there. So Anthony quite fancies the Parker fight. So we're speaking to them. You know, I think they're doing a great job with Joseph Parker. They're boxing Dimitrenko on October the 1st. Do we go November or December? I think the next fight will be between Parker, Stiverne and Pulev. I think they're the 3, and I think they're all great fights for Anthony Joshua.
What fight has the highest chance in the...
I think they're all about equal at the moment. It's just a case of, do we fight Parker in November, December, or do we fight him in March? It's going to happen. It's a good fight. Josh quite fancies that fight next. You know, I think it's a good fight.
Joshua Parker, Chisora White.
There you go.
Same card. You will be
It's
a Don again.
fest for you, isn't it?
Unreal. All right, so there's a break now. Got obviously Kelbrook and
6 weeks
Golovkin
tonight,
press conference on
and
Monday.
Press conference. See you there, old boy.
See you there.